Leslie, Shelley, and Meg talk all the time about using assumptive language for closing. People imagine themselves in trainings with us. They start to think about using our resources in advance and providing like daily routines to their people. What techniques are common for you when it comes to assumptive language?
Gosh, I'll kickstart. Over here, really, it's, it shows that you have this confidence, right? That you're showing up and you're controlling the conversation first and foremost, but you're helping. So you're being assumptive of, hey, this is what we will do when we are going to solve X problem for you with X solution that we provide. So saying it in that tense, we will, opposed to, so what I can do for you is this. I think there's a big differentiator there with and it goes for what we tell ourselves as well, right? So we tell ourselves, okay, either can or I will. I'm set in this mind, I will, and I'll write everything like that too. I will accomplish X, Y, Z. So it goes the same for this assumptive language of, we will do this for you guys. And this is what we will accomplish together because I'm on your team. I got your back. Like we're working in sync here.
Yeah, Amelia, I think it's a really good call out. I mean, what you're saying too is you're shifting from I to we and us, right? So we're already kind of talking in like that partnership, collaborative language, because for your champion or your prospective customer, it's going to be about how are we going to do all this together? Not, hey, I'm going to close the deal and then see you later. It's like, we have to go do this, this, and this to get there. And then after the deal closes, these are all the other things we are going to do together.
Yeah.
Jacob, that's
through it.
Go ahead, Amelia.
The whole process, right? Like got your back through the whole process. Like that's the big thing. They don't want, I mean, we've all been there, right? You've had the buyers who it's, or you've sold to people, whatever it may be. And you're like, oh shoot, I should have followed it better. Or then you learn.
So what's a strategy that you use in conversation to move things to the what's next frame?
Yeah. So as I get towards kind of like the second half of the cycle or towards the kind of closing of the cycle, I get pretty focused on all of the things that I need to do, but also all of the things that my prospect needs to do to close the deal. I bring all of that into a mutual action plan. And so basically a collaborative document that I can work on with my prospect and or customer to understand, like, here's all the stuff I got to do. Here's all the stuff you got to do. Here's kind of the dates and deadlines we want to hit. Here's the gates we need to pass, because I think of it in the context of the close, especially at the enterprise level, is like just the beginning. Like, yeah, we're going to close the deal. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. You need to do this. I need to do that. But after that, here's all the things we still have to go do because we need to start delivering value like right away. So it's kind of like bringing all that into a document, sharing it, working on it together. One little comment I'll make is, look, not all of your prospects and customers are going to be adherent to that or want to work on that, but the idea is that it exists and you can go back to it together as needed to understand like deadlines, timelines, like things we got to do, et cetera.
And I'm gonna go ahead and steal one here for when and why to use each closing technique. I'm gonna steal this from our customer success director. Her name is Megan Holsinger, and you guys need to go connect with her and learn from her. I tell you, no LinkedIn in the chat. This is the only time I will put a LinkedIn profile in the chat other than our guests at the end. But go to that profile and follow Meg Holsinger. And this is what she says. There's a time to reiterate. And this is the language you can use. I'm confused. Last time we talked, you said X. And this is where your answer, what changed, right? If you say, I'm confused, you said X, what changed? They have a sense of accountability that they need to explain to you. And that's a very human reaction. So I love where we're all headed with this. And that's a great strategy to use for closing language.
Yeah. It's just the what's changed, reiterate, like jot down, literally go to your gong recording, Wingman, whatever you're using, go and have exactly verbatim what they said. And it's going to be, I mean, they said it, not you. So use what they said to your advantage by repeating it back to them. Hey, okay, so you're saying this. So when we chatted last, you said X, Y, Z, verbatim in quotes. So what's changed? What's going on? Let's talk about that and how we can kind of continue to move forward. Who else needs to be involved? Let's get this going, because remind them, like it had on the slide a second ago, why you're even in this conversation. What are we solving for? Here's your problem. What happens if you don't do it?
Yep. Yeah, I love it. One of the things that I'll do that's very similar to that is what we have heard. It's like the most basic slide ever. And it's like I start with the meeting once I'm down the road of having conversations, what we have heard. It's like 3 bullets, very simple. Play it back to people. This is what we've talked about. This is what we've talked to your team about. Can you help me validate this? Has anything changed? And it's all of those pieces, right? And over time, what happens is the most important thing becomes like bubbles to the top,
Yeah.
but you also get like important little tidbits about the other stuff. And Amelia, to your point, oh, hey, you just mentioned XYZ person that cares about this. I'm going to go talk to them as well. And it's just kind of like broadening the scope, multi-threading, but making sure you're centered on like what matters and has anything changed since we last talked.
Yeah. Looping in the right people, literally drop the word engagements. Hey, any engagement, if it's a larger company, going back to the enterprise chat a bit, if it's a larger company, you could be in engagements with people. That doesn't mean you're necessarily working alongside them. You can be in the sole engager. You're working towards an engagement. Hey, and engagements with, other regional directors, making sure you're looped into, that sort of thing. Assumptive right there. Again,
Mhm.
you're looped into the engagement I'm already having. Bandwagon effect. Oh shoot, they're doing it. We got to do it.
Okay, so let's talk about flexibility. Flexibility, a big part of sales skills in the modern selling environment. We have to pivot. We have to see the sign. We have to move. So these are some things that we think that sellers could probably work on to help get themselves more flexible in that closing pattern, the things that work best for them. Pragmatism being the religion of sales. We have to find out what works. Understanding both sides of the process and then speaking their language. How can people learn to speak their prospects' language? What do you guys suggest?
I mean, listening to the calls is going to be a good start, right? I mean, understanding the things that they're saying. They might talk about projects or initiatives. They might call an AE an IC. They might call an AE a rep. I don't know. It's little things like that.
Yeah.
Right. It's little things like that that over the course of a cycle, when you start playing that back to them, that's a subtle piece. And we talked about subtlety. That's a subtle piece that tells them and signals to them like Amelia and Jacob are listening. They care. They're speaking the way we do, and they're running at the same goals that we are. So I think a lot of that kind of plays in directly there, is speaking the language.
And ask for, the feedback from other people that maybe you're not selling to, but are in the same space. So I would say 90% of my pipeline is and close one deals year to date have been through Slack channels, which is pretty interesting. But it's because I simply showed up and helped people. And then it came full circle. But it was either because of what I was providing or like, hey, I need an intro here. Great, got you. Then they would give me a referral. You plant these seeds, it's a garden, water things the right way. But if I would go to people, within communities and say, hey, I'm trying to build this messaging out right now. Like, does this resonate with you? And I've done that with people who I didn't personally know very well. We're both in a community together. Leverage community stuff. Leverage people who are like your potential buyers or people that you respect. People are more willing to help than you realize if you just show up and say, "Can you look at this? Like, does this resonate at all? I'm looking to level up. Can you help me?" And it's such a big. That's the ego pride thing. Put it aside and ask for help.
Can you help me is very powerful because I think we're innately wired to want to see other people succeed. I also say that we're wired negatively. I think both of those two things work in our
You wanna
minds
win?
at the same time. But one of the things that I know to be true is that it takes a long time to become an effective closer. Very few people come into that game and are just instantly good at asking for action and money, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just something that takes time. And we close for different things as we grow in our career. We start out as an SDR, we close for time and interest, and then we close for signatures and dollars, and then we close for renewals and cross sells. How do we get sellers thinking more long term about consecutive closes instead of just this one thing, this one message, this one time?
Relationships.
Go ahead.
Relationships.
Oh my gosh, develop this solid relationship with who you are selling to because they're going to follow you wherever you go. You can go reach out to them wherever they go with their next job change.
Mm-hmm.
If you have solid relationships with people that is built on this foundation of trust, people are going to continuously be a champion for you and your success, bringing referrals in. Then there's also the aspect of, okay, hey, I can help you over here. great, who took over on this side? Because you have a good enough relationship to just talk like a normal human to this other normal human, even if you're, you're an AE and they're a CMO, the C-suite, whatever. It doesn't matter. Everybody goes to sleep without a title. Everybody puts their pants on the same way, y'all. So it's not like anyone is greater than you in any way, shape, or form. They might have been there, done that. So therefore you ask for help from people who've been there, done that. But, I think it's just so important to, honest to God, have those conversations that matter in regards to making sure that you're like moving in the right direction. It's just, I don't know, Jacob, what do you think?
I just think at the end of the day, what's the worst that could happen? I remind myself of that pretty frequently in my personal life and professional.
Yeah,
So
you're good
if you are uncomfortable asking for things, like granted, you need to read the room, you've got to have the EQ, you've got to know that you've earned the ability to ask that. But start small in your personal life, start small in your professional life, and just start asking for things that matter. Because what the worst that can happen is someone tells you no. So what? Okay, they told me no. Right.
You're right where you are now anyway, right?
Right. And I think like specifically like in the buying cycle, you do have to be a little more sensitive to it, but there's little asks that you can make early, middle, big asks at the end, right? But something I wrote down is like the give get. Like, and Amelia, you did a great job of talking about the give. When you're giving, like the intent should not be to give just to get, but in a buying cycle, you should know, I will give you this, but ultimately, like I need to receive this from you, whether it's now or later. Kind of thing.
Salespeople to salespeople, you both know what's going on, right? Let's not be naive to the fact that we both are in this profession. We're both going to make, I'm going to make money off you, we get what's going on. So let's not be naive to that. Like, and, I had somebody tell me, they're like, hey, when is kind of the fiscal year done for you guys? Okay, promise you, I'm getting this deal over the line. Like, we're going to get this through finance for you. Like, got your back too. And it was just because that rapport building was established from the very get-go to help someone I met through a Slack channel. And it's cool to see how those things come back around. But you've got to plant the seeds. I always think of it literally, I think a garden. Here's my seeds that I'm planting. I might not have fruition yet. I'm going to water each one the right way. And not everything needs to have like a whole bucket of water dumped on it. Some might, but just water things, nurture things, and just, cheer for people. People are going to be in your corner more than you think.